Good afternoon and welcome to the broadcast. My name is Jay Van Smith. I'm the executive producer of Right Now TV. Right Now TV is a digital satellite broadcast network devoted to serving our youth, our physical and mentally challenged community, our senior citizens, our elderly, our geriatrics, and our veterans, our men and women of uniform. Right Now television is your television program. We share and express and allow you to express your views and commentary and concerns. We're a public benefit corporation, a wholly owned subsidiary of IMI Tri-State Lions, which is an Indiana public benefit corporation. We are a nonprofit 501c3, and we're developing our satellite communications network infrastructure as I speak. Today, seated with me at the MCAT studios, where we conduct our broadcast transmissions, is one of our local commentaries. Mr. Emmett.
Yeah.
Emmett, we are delighted to have you to our broadcast. Welcome to Right Now Television.
Oh, thank you. My name's Emmett, the old retired punk rocker. I've been doing my television show, The Awful Truth About Society, for about 20 years. I used to have a mohawk leather jacket and such, and it was a beautiful thing, but I became too old. I just so much slam dancing, and I just can't physically do the slam dancing or anything. And if you listen to more Neil Diamond and Gordon Lightfoot than punk rock, as much as I still love punk rock, then maybe it's time for retire for the benefit of the community. But I still have the beliefs, and Dropkick Murphy's T-shirt and such. Thanks for having me on. I know years past I looked a lot different, but I still have the beliefs, so I never sold out to conformist society. But I'm just 47. It's, you know, I'd be slowing the young punk rockers down if I continue to try and slam dance and pretend to be like 25 when I don't feel that age, and I'm not that age anymore, you know. But you invited me on your show. Thank you very much.
Sir, again, it's an honor.
Thank you.
You know, and here at Right Now Television, we provide the general public with a forum with the means to express themselves. And essentially, if you have a talent, a craft, a trade, or if you just want to come on and toot your horn, feel free to contact us at Right Now TV. We're at 500 North Higgins in Missoula, Montana, at the MCAT television studios. And again, we have Emmett, which is our guest commentator today. And Emmett is also a local producer at MCAT. Emmett, would you tell us a little bit about your program?
Well, I'd kind of, should I do that, or should I go right into the subject that I wanted to talk about, because you were impressed about a certain subject on my show that I recently haven't even talked about. Briefly, I'll just tell about the show without going into the history. My show is exposing the evils about society, like school, the evils of school, work, the government, child abuse, what's going on in the New World Order, and I give solutions from a Christian and a punk point of view, and an anarchist and punk point of view, and I try to lead people to the Lord. Even though I'm not a punk rocker anymore, I still have the belief, so I describe what is, you know, the awful truth about society, what's really going on in society that the news will not talk about. One of those, a friend of mine who's in prison asked me to do, and finally I got caught up and did some others, are the evil brutality of prisons and how it's unconstitutional and how I don't see anyone is being rehabilitated. The recidivism rate is about 70%. I took criminology in high school. I've seen Lockup Raw. I've had friends in prisons and jail. And I can't discuss this in a graphic way, but the way it is unconstitutional. The 8th Amendment said, no excessive fines shall be imposed, nor cruel and unusual punishments shall be allowed, nor cruel and unusual punishments imposed. I mean, some people do have to go to prison. The sociopaths, the people who are dangerous, there is a place for prison. But it can be changed, and I think if I had my reforms the way they should be, they would save money the recidivism rate, how do you pronounce that? Recidivism rate would go way down, and it would be safer. The Department of Corrections or Prisons should be rehabilitative, focused on drug prevention, rehab, and learning how to become a functional citizen in society again and not commit those crimes again, not to be brutalized. You know, the prison politics you see in Lockup Raw, and even the horrible stuff, the beatings and the other stuff I can't describe, you wouldn't allow me, you know, just is not. Does anyone get rehabilitated with that? And the guards look the other way, and sometimes they're a part of it. It's so dangerous that let's say you're convicted of a nonviolent crime, like a little marijuana. You get in trouble as a teenager, an 18-year-old, and you turn 18 with a little trouble with marijuana or something, or a drug possession. You get locked in with the most burly psychopaths who want to hurt you and abuse you and do terrible things to you. After 10 years, whatever stint, if you're not in protective custody, you're going to be worse off than before. Learning the prison politics, the gang structure, and the guards look the other way. How is anybody rehabilitated? And if you go back to work, let's say you're on parole, those images that were done to you are going to haunt you like PTSD. You will never fit into society again, and you'll probably relapse. You'll get just to self-medicate from all those awful memories that I've seen on lockup. I learned in criminology. You'll go back to the booze or the drugs again, right back to prison again, and you've learned its ways, the prison politics, and no one is rehabilitated. They can't. Here's my view. I know we don't have much time.
Take your time. Go right ahead.
Okay, my views on it, I don't think people who are, I mean, some people, like even some misdemeanors like drunk driving, should be locked up for a period of time, or breaking and entering or trespassing, because that can be a dangerous situation. Let's say you've done a little drugs or a little something misdemeanor, didn't pay some fines for a parking ticket. Why should you be locked up in a jail for not paying a parking ticket with brutal people? Well, they should be let go, and I think prison should only be for the very violent people, or people who are breaking and entering and doing other things. But as far as that, you know, protective custody, people will say, well, hey, we have protective custody if you feel threatened by the other inmates. You have to have something happen to you first. I've seen Lockup Raw and been in criminology in 1986.
Have you ever been in pre-incarcerated?
I never have, thankfully. But,
so
you know,
how is it, I mean, so where do you obtain the insight that you have, or the perspective?
I took criminology in 1986, and that learned a lot about the brutality of prisons. I've seen Lockup Raw.
Okay.
I have seen that's on MSNBC, and that is one of my favorite shows, and they have marathons on weekends. You see right then and there the brutality of prisons. I've seen the movie Scared Straight and the other things on A&E, Scared Straight, where the prisoners come in and tell the young kids what it is like in prison with all the graphic language, and I've been haunted by the stories.
Right.
I have friends in prison.
I understand.
And something's got to be done, and I think I have solutions. Not only more rehab and drug treatment, more psychiatrists and psychologists, but how about single-man cells if you feel threatened? If you're going into the fishbowl or just going right in,
I can identify with that.
A single-man cell, like, I don't feel safe with these people. Can I just be here locked up for 10 years in a single-man cell, maybe a skylight, the Bible, some other books, a shower of my own, whatever in my own, without dealing with the other prisoners, and that should be granted, period. We could build them, and it would save us a lot of money with more rehabilitation, less recidivism, and it would keep the inmates who don't feel safe, safe. If you don't feel safe, you shouldn't have to be brutalized. Just a single-man cell about the size of this studio would solve a lot of problems. Yes. Nobody. Prison should be about correction and rehabilitation, not about brutality and degradation.
Correct. I agree.
What do you think of that? I mean, that's pretty much my shtick on that.
Very well spoken, sir. Very well spoken. Have you considered talking to or visiting the prisons and maybe going by and offering some volunteer services?
You know, I've thought about that. I just don't feel that that's my calling, and it is a dangerous environment. You really have to know the stuff to do it. It's just too dangerous an environment. I think this is really helping out the inmates and others, and if the government would just have this type of thing, and maybe we should call up our congressmen and senators and write them about this, maybe we could get the ball rolling to make prisons, just make them from the top down. I know they're getting a little safer if you see Lockup Raw, but just rebuild the prisons so that there are a lot more single-man cells for people that need them. Not everyone will want that. A lot of people think it's, you know, like isolation. I would take that, and I think a lot of other my friends would take that rather than just be brutalized. And I've even had close friends of mine who were in juvenile prison, like in the one in Idaho, St. Anthony's. I'm not going to say his name or the details, but I felt helpless. All I could do was pray for him. He came out completely changed. I think he was brutalized, and it broke my heart. I felt helpless. I wanted to go protect the man, and I couldn't. This is not right. Either juvenile hall or what goes on in prison. I mean, we need prisons at some place, but we can make them a lot safer and a lot better.
I agree with you.
And a lot more ministry and that kind of thing.
And I think, you know, I mean, me personally, I subscribe to converting our swords into plowshares.
Yes.
You know, I think if you take, our children need more guidance.
They do.
They need more of our compassion, of our love, of our commitment to our citizenry, because they are, after all, they're the benefactors of this great nation.
Yeah.
And it's not. I don't think we're setting a good precedence. We're housing all of our children.
We are not.
And
it's a terrible one.
It's not the way to orientate our youth.
No, it's the school-to-prison pipeline.
We're now going to pause our transmission to acknowledge our community partners, donors, and affiliates. You're watching Right Now TV. Missoula Aging Services. We are proud of our years. Missoula Aging Services. The Salvation Army. Doing the most good. The Salvation Army. Community Medical Center. From day one. Community Medical Center. The Vet Center in Missoula, Montana. Keeping the Promise. The Vet Center in Missoula, Montana. Missoula Federal Credit Union. More than you expect. Missoula Federal Credit Union. Walgreens. At the corner of happy and healthy. Walgreens. And now we return to our broadcast, an interview with Mr. Emmett, the commentator. You're watching Right Now TV.
And I remember something I'd forgotten to bring up, and I should have. Do you remember when prayer and Bible reading was taken out of public schools? I wasn't born in there. The prison for the youth jail population and the overall prison population went up and up and up and up as we took God and faith out of the public square and out of our public schools. You just cannot really have morality or, you know, lead a good life without prayer, Bible reading, and the Christian faith, because a lot of people say they fear, you know, the police or the judges. No, we have to fear God first.
Amen.
Then we lose our freedoms, because guess who owns us? The prisons, the judges, and the police that we fear. But what about fearing God? That way the police don't have to look at us. The judges don't have to look at us. We have a regulator when we can regulate ourselves because we fear God. Amen. And then we won't get into trouble. But now it's been taken away in the name of freedom. The prayer and Bible reading, and the youth crime is skyrocketing, the gangs, and of course that's also to the breakdown of the family, and again, breakdown of morality. If we don't, one of our founding fathers said, without religion and morality, this state of the Union, these freedoms, this Constitution, just simply will not work. Our republic cannot survive without public religion and morality. Only for religious and moral people. It isn't fit for any other. That's why, you know, we have freedom of religion, not freedom from religion. You know.
And we also have freedom of speech.
We have freedom of speech. We need that, absolutely.
And I am delighted that Emmett came to as a guest at our broadcast today at Right Now Television, where we allow individuals an opportunity to express themselves. In fact, this is your medium, and we're here we are the advocates of the youth, our physical and mentally challenged, our senior citizens, and those who happen to be able to maintain their standard of living in their own humble abode, and those who happen to be in the institutional conventions. We also serve the best interests of our veterans. We're here to honor our vets, our men and women of service.
Yeah.
And our men and women in uniform. And we commend you all. We thank you for your service, and we love our great nation.
Yeah.
I want to acknowledge our great city, the great city of Missoula, the outstanding work that's being done here. I want to thank the men and women of this Missoula's finest, who keep our streets safe. We have a judiciary that's a work in progress.
Yeah.
And I'm optimistic about us going forward. I'm also would like to acknowledge the great work of our state. The state is a treasure state. This is a state that works. And you know, it takes a community to raise a child. Mr. Emmett, I think we all have an obligation when it comes to rearing our children. It's not just a matter, I mean, yeah,
The family is the most
prison
important.
institutions is one solution. That's one aspect. But we also have to have other solutions, that alternatives. That
Yeah,
will address those.
I'd rather have the family and the church raise the children. I mean,
We will now take a break to acknowledge our community partners, donors, and affiliates. You're watching Right Now TV. The MCAT Film Studios will be holding a summer camp. Sign-ups are available now. Vet Center of Missoula, Montana, keeping the promise. The Vet Center of Missoula, Montana. Community Medical Center from day one. Community Medical Center. Missoula Federal Credit Union, more than you expect. Missoula Federal Credit Union. Walgreens at the corner of Happy and Healthy. Walgreens. Missoula Aging Services. We are proud of our years. Missoula Aging Services. And now we return to our broadcast with an interview with Mr. Emmett, the commentator. You're watching Right Now TV.
Good afternoon, and welcome to the broadcast. My name is Jay Van Smith. I'm the executive producer of Right Now Television. Seated with me at the at Right Now TV is Emmett. Emmett is one of the local commentaries. He's been he's a very distinguished and notable gentleman and a member of the society here in Missoula. And if you will, Mr. Emmett, in your own words, I'd like for you to expound on some of your background.
well, I was born in Tucson, Arizona, and that was quite a while. And then I moved to Lewiston, Idaho back in 1981, 1984. Beautiful town. Then I kind of got stuck in Montana. And Missoula is, I love MCAT, but Missoula's always been kind of has a dark energy. If you felt it, kind of anti-spiritual. I felt it myself. I've always wanted to move back to Lewiston. But how I started my show 20 years ago, The Awful Truth About Society, I've always been seeing the news, seeing society, seeing stuff in the schools my whole life, and I've always been outraged by the evils and conformity of society and the evil stuff going on, school, work, the government, everything. And, you know, I love easy listening. I've always loved easy listening, even like Lawrence Welk and easy listening stations they don't have anymore. And Neil Diamond and Gordon Lightfoot and John Denver, and I've always loved those type of things. But there has been another movement which has always talked about the evils of society and not in a very positive way. But I kind of liked that. I loved that. I just latched onto that. It was called the punk rock movement. It's kind of defunct now. It was a way for people who had low income to shock people and expose the evils of society through music and dress. Now, it isn't about crime, it isn't about drug use, it isn't about selling drugs. What it was about for low-income people to have like mohawks, spiky hair, leather jackets, and be creative in a way that would fit their budget, and use music like guitars and drums as not like worshiping the devil. I'm against all that. If it was about worshiping, forget it. But it was exposing in a angry, brutal way, the evils of society, what's going on, our frustration, and I just latched onto that immediately. I finally read some of the magazines. I didn't agree with all of it, but I was ready because I'd always felt that way maybe since I was a child. When I was ready, I got the mohawk, the leather jacket, spiked up my hair, and I was in seventh heaven. And I still was a Catholic, and they didn't mind in the Catholic Church. But about over 20 years ago, there was this nice, it was in the Southgate Mall, this nice record store, DVD store, tape store. They used to have tapes, and I was buying a lot of punk rock tapes called Disc Jockey.
Yes.
I thought, well, they have punk rock tapes. I could get a part-time job here, even if I covered up my mohawk with a ball cap or whatever and dressed more conservatively, and asked them, do you have any job openings? They said, no, and that's okay, but if you ever do, will you hire me if I have a mohawk, even if I put a baseball cap on my head and dress more conservatively? That's fine for the public. And said, no, we can't. Sorry, the management doesn't allow that. And I was like, but in the 70s you could. I mean, in the 80s. Said, this isn't the 70s. This is the 90s. And I was at Coffee Row in the Mall. This was a coffee shop we had, and I prayed about it, and I thought, you know what, this is the straw that breaks the camel's back. Something's got to be done. I've had it with society. I've heard about MCAT, and I prayed about it. Lord, what do you want me to do? I mean, maybe I should expose disc jockey and the other things. And I don't know how, but it's like the Lord said, Emmett, what do you want to do?
There we go.
And I felt really compelled. So I called up MCAT station, and it was another Randy Ammon was on, and he was the head, the TV station manager at the time, and said, I'd like to do a show exposing disc jockey, and I went through the orientation, and I want punk rockers to be able to have a voice about our concerns, or at least my concerns, what I'm upset by.
Yes.
And I started writing and said, that's a good idea. And I said, would you censor my mohawk? And he said, no. And I wanted punk rockers to have a voice, because anytime, especially in the 80s and the 90s, punk rockers were viciously persecuted. The only thing you saw on TV was punk rockers are drug addicts, violent, worse than the Hells Angels. And I said, that's not true. And I wanted punk rock and punk rockers to have a voice and say, these is what it's about, right, and expose the evils of society. So they allowed me to do that.
Definitive material or reference on the history of the punk rock movement.
Yeah, there was, and some other books like I can't even remember their names.
The authoritarian reference.
Yeah, actually, there's some. I can't even remember the name, and I should remember the names of the authoritative stuff. I have books on the punk rock movement, and sometimes read for them, and I can't even remember their names. I'm sorry.
Hopefully, in the near future, we can have you back on our show, and we can take it to another level.
Yeah, but anyway, I called it The Awful Truth About Society, and exposed the evils of work, school, the government, and even disc jockey.
Yes.
Then it went through another 20, and I thought I was going to retire after 15. Now it's gone on for 20 years, and I've been hated. Some people have loved my show, and some people have hated it. It was like, what do you have doing that guy with that mohawk on? He's a freak. You should take him off the air. And some people just loved my show, especially a lot of the youth, because I was speaking for them about these little high schools, the evils of the government, and they loved it. And so that's kind of been my history. It doesn't have as much commentary as it used. I mean, it has commentary, but there are not a lot of critics as it used to be, or people calling in hating it.
Yes.
Because I think punk rock has become more mainstream. It's even on toddler tunes now.
Super, yeah.
So that's pretty much my history.
Now tell us, when are you on the air? When is your show?
Wednesday night.
Call letters.
Wednesday night at 10 o'clock on MCAT channel 189. It used to be on in the afternoon, but they pulled it. And there was even another kind of guest show I used to do called Open Mic, that people could just come in and say whatever they wanted and speak their piece. And a lot of people still ask, Emmett, are you on that show? Do you still do that show? And I say, no, I'm not on the afternoon. I mean, I do my show, but I'm not on the afternoon. It's a Wednesday at 10 o'clock. They remember when I used to do my show. And I think a lot of people don't recognize me because I still have the beliefs, but just because of old age, I had to retire. And I didn't do, so maybe people only identified it with mohawk and leather jacket.
What do you mean because of old age? Why do you
47. I'm 47. I can barely slam dance anymore.
47. You look great.
Well, thanks. I feel 80. But anyway, yeah.
Well, Emmett, I'm delighted you came to our show to address the concerns of the punk rock movement. Do you have any final thoughts about your concerns with dressing up the penal institutions and solutions that we might have.
No, I don't. I
Or
talked
how
about.
might we go forward and incorporating?
Well, I don't have anything about that because I talked about the last segment, but I just want to say that, you know, you guys didn't sell me out. No one threatened me into retiring from the movement. It was just about age. I mean, I've nearly been, 10 years ago, murdered because of my mohawk, and that didn't stop me. I've had people spit on me, and a lot of people love me, just more age. But you guys didn't break me, and you guys say you can't, so it's like, this is a free choice, but if I had to do it all over again, almost over, I would. I'm proud of what I did, and I think what I've contributed to the punk rock community. Again, it's not about crime. I know it's pretty much defunct. It was a generational thing. A lot of the young kids don't know what it's about, but if you get to be my age, you kind of get almost broken up in the mosh pit, so physically I can't do anymore, but I'm glad for the punk rock movement. Some of them are anti-God and such like that, but you can be a Christian and a punk rocker because even Jesus was a rebel. A lot of people saying Jesus was not a rebel. I think he was. I think he was a rebel. I mean, he even went against the Pharisees and that kind of thing. He was a rebel. He wasn't a conformist, so I think it fits in perfectly because it's not about drugs or crime. I mean, there are punks in prison that were railroaded, and maybe we could talk about, I think too many people are railroaded into the system just because of who they are, punk rockers or even African Americans or whatever, you know. That's something we got to stop, and we got to address that, but it's almost been a little over 5 minutes, so maybe, you know, if you can say anything else, it's been about 5 minutes. You need to stop at about 5 minutes of this interview.
Well, sir, just, you know, if it was up to me, I would say that you could go ahead all day long.
Yeah, wonderful.
I do have an extensive schedule. I'm just delighted that you came by to address your concerns and our audience here at Right Now Television. We will extend you an opportunity to come back in the near future. And hopefully at that time you might have a little more backup on the punk rock movement.
Yeah.
But we would truly be interested in hearing more about it.
What it stands for, who started it, that kind of thing, who started, how it started.
Yeah.
Well, I did tell you
where it originated from.
Yeah, yeah.
But moreover,
well, I could talk about that now if you want another segment, unless you wanted me to come on another day. You know,
we definitely wouldn't need to reschedule
all right.
in the near future. But I would like to say, if you would, to our viewing audience, would you let them know when your program is on the air? And again, when, what time and what channel, and
again,
tell them a little bit more about your type of programming.
It's The Awful Truth About Society. It airs on MCAT on channel 189. It's at Wednesday night at 10 o'clock. It is a viewer discretion advisory. But even though I'm retired officially, I mean, if the punk rockers wanted to draft me back into the movement, I guess I would. But it's against the evils of society, like school, work, the government, child abuse, and I give solutions from a Christian and an anarchist and punk point of view. Anarchy to me doesn't mean that I want to go out and kill people. It just means we don't need the government controlling our lives and making us domesticated servants. And I can't play punk rock music on this show because it has a lot of profanity and a lot of anger, so I can't have that or punk rock videos, but my show does have a viewer discretion advisory, but that's pretty much what my show is about.
Well, sir, again, I appreciate you. I appreciate you acknowledging that. We don't have a problem with a person expressing their views. We do have a few caveats with regards to the monitoring the diction.
Yes.
The language, because we have an audience that is very diverse.
Yes.
And we have to be mindful.
And it probably does not have a viewer discretion advisory, so no.
Yes, right. But again, sir, Emmett, it's been a pleasure having you on our broadcast. I just want to say, if you will, in the near future, we'd be delighted to have you appear on our show again.
All right.
All right, and take it to the next phase.
Absolutely.
Again, I would like to thank Mr. Emmett, who is one of our local
Producers, just amateur. I don't stand for any group or professional organization. I'm not a paid professional, and I'm not a journalist. I'm just speaking my own mind. And by the way, one thing, it's a rejection of society and conformity in society. That's a big thing that the punk rock movement stood for, rejection of conformist society and domestication, like in the schools, work. That's what the music was about. We're frustrated by all this and frustrated by being kept down. They say this is a free country, but we're losing our freedom. So it's a rejection of society. It really was. And it was a very creative way to do it. A lot of fun, too, you know. But That's what it is. You know, a lot of people don't agree with that. Well, too bad. You know, I have my right to have my own mind. So that's what it's about too. You know, big thing.
Again, you've heard it from one of our own distinguished, from a distinguished commentator, local commentator, Mr. Emmett from the
Oh, it showed the awful truth about society. About society. Yeah.
And thank you for tuning in. Thank you for tuning in to our broadcast, and thank you for appearing on our program.
All right, thank you.
This hand is
Okay.
it's in a bad way, but
All right.
You pardon me.
All right, well, thank you.
Sir.
Thank you. God bless you guys.
You got that mic. Oh. Cut.
We're going to take a moment now to pause and acknowledge our community partners, donors, and affiliates. You're watching Right Now TV. Sparkle Laundry, good, clean fun in Missoula, Montana. Sparkle Laundry. Missoula Aging Services. We are proud of our years. Missoula Aging Services. MCAT Film Camp. Sign up your kids now to learn about wildlife filmmaking, animation, and movie making. The Salvation Army, doing the most good. The Salvation Army. Tuxedo Gallery in Missoula, Montana. Suit up. Tuxedo Gallery in Missoula, Montana. The Vet Center in Missoula, Montana, keeping the promise. The Vet Center in Missoula, Montana. We now return to a performance and an interview with Asaph Adonai at Right Now TV.
And now we return to our distinguished guest, the great pianist, Mr. Asaph Adonai.
I did that song for a specific reason. That is a song called the Snake Song, and that's a children's song that people, if they have little children, they can see something like this and maybe take piano lessons one day.
Marvelous.
So I decided to play that and put that in there.
And now could you render us another selection if you
Sure,
would,
let
sir?
me do a more serious song.
Oh, thank you.
All right.
Bravo. Excellent. Excellent. And by the way, as I just thought I would let our viewing audience know, Mr. Asaph is not only one of the foremost distinguished, prominent pianists in the state, perhaps not the nation, but he's also a member of the Right Now television team. And we are delighted and honored and blessed to have him as a part of our team.
I'm very
forward.
humbled. I'm very humbled to be part of this, so thank you again, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Asaph has been he's been serving our community here in Montana, and actually he's been around. He's a well-traveled person. If you would, sir, could you kind of expound a little bit about your background and your history
All right, I'll make it
to your
short.
viewing audience?
I come from a military family. My father was stationed at Ladd Air Force Base in Fairbanks, Alaska when I was born. And from the time I was born to the time I was 12, we traveled everywhere, like Washington, D.C., Virginia, Taipei, Taiwan, and so on. And finally, when we came back to the States, my father was stationed at Langley Air Force Base up there in Hampton, Virginia. And that's when we got our first piano. And then 2 years later, I took formal training. The rest is history.
That's marvelous.
So that's like my beginning. And then after graduation, I did student teaching for 2 years, my old band class.
Excellent.
As a teacher's aide. And then I got a scholarship to the San Francisco Conservatory. I was there maybe about a year or something like that. And
Wonderful.
then I eventually went to Los Angeles, and I started my career playing at Loyola Marymount University.
Wonderful.
I did that for 5 months and then met Bumps Blackwell, which we talked about. He was Little Richard's manager, and Bumps became my teacher for the next 3 years, and eventually got the job in Vegas with Pat Guidry and the High Rollers at the Marina Hotel, and then the Salvation Army, and it just kept growing.
Well, that's
So
marvelous.
it's kind of a short overall flyover of my so-called career.
Well, we're impressed.
There you go.
And your music is just, your music is music to my ears.
Well, thank you.
You know, it's so soothing.
Well, God has blessed me, so I'm just here to share.
Amen.
Share the music, share the love, as Ellen would say.
Do you do benefits or
Yeah, I do like weddings.
concerts, weddings? Well, yeah.
Well,
if
you
will.
know, okay, if
To
your
your
viewing
audience.
audience wants to know more about me, the University of
If they
Montana...
would like to book you or something, or
I
how
do.
would a person, yeah.
All right, if you want to book me, it's just simply asaph@hotmail.com. That is spelled ASAPHADONAI @hotmail.com.
Yes.
And I do like weddings and functions, parties, television, radio. I've done it all. I've played live on live radio too, and so on. So.
Excellent. But, what are some of your current, what's going on with Analyze Incorporated?
Well, the main thing I'm doing, it probably won't show up on camera. This is an actual television pilot that I recently did with this MCAT studio.
Great.
It's called Music with Asaph, and the premise, it's a remake of the original Lawrence Welk show.
Yes.
Now, some people may not remember Lawrence Welk, but for those who do, Lawrence Welk was this musical host, and he had a lot of entertainment on his program. So what I'm attempting to do is bring the Lawrence Welk show back to life, but we're going to do more modern music.
Wonderful, wonderful.
That's what's going on now. And this is the pilot. You can see it on YouTube. Just put Music with Asaph, Lawrence Welk Update, and you can see this entire pilot.
Wonderful. And again, what channel, when are you on the air, sir? I understand you're a producer of your own, you have 2 television shows.
Yeah, and...
Would you give us that again?
All right, well, I tape the Asaph Cafe every Thursday from 1 till 4, and then it airs the following Thursday at 5 o'clock on the MCAT channel. And that's channel 189 if you have the charter. And if you don't have charter, you can just go to mcat.org and click Watch Now at the same time. So it comes on, the Asaph Cafe comes on at 5 and then at 8:30 on Saturday night. But as for this Lawrence Welk thing, it got picked up by PBS. So if we get the proper funding and get it launched off, you never know where that's going to go.
Picked up by PBS. What do you mean?
Montana PBS, they're going to give me the opportunity to make this pilot into a weekly series if I get the proper funding.
Wonderful. Well, we're going to work with that. We'll work with you on that.
Thank you.
And we ask for your all support. ASAF is being a part of Right Now TV. We're also a nonprofit 501c3. We urge you to contact Mr. Asaph or contact us if you're interested in having the quality of a great performer
Thank you,
at
sir.
your next event.
There you go.
And we would be more than welcome to refer him to you.
Great.
Also, if you know, at this moment, we'd like to mention that, your contributions do support artists such as Mr. Asaph and I going forward with to the PBS with his new initiatives, and we support you, sir. We encourage you, and we're behind you.
Thank you. I appreciate that, and I want to do the same for you too. So.
Well, we're grateful, and again, any way we can be of service at Right Now TV to promote
Yeah, Music with Asaph.
Music with
It's
Asaph.
the new Lawrence Welk show, and I am the host. And I want to acknowledge, I have a hostess named Louise Bundy, who is she's an African-American hostess, and she's also a professional ballet teacher and dancer, so she does some ballet on the program and stuff, and that fits in with Lawrence Welk.
Wonderful.
Sure does.
Wonderful. Now, how long have you guys been together?
Well, gosh, I've known Louise for about 5 or 6 years, I think, by now.
A professional ballet.
Yeah, she used to have her own dance studio in California, and she happens to live here in Missoula now at the moment.
Yes, is she on your show?
Yeah, she's the hostess. She is the hostess of this new Lawrence Welk show.
Marvelous. Well,
So you'll see her announcing some
I'm
acts on there,
looking forward
too.
to it. In fact, we've got to definitely get you back on the show.
Great, I'll be very
And
humbled to
hopefully
do
you
that.
could invite the hostess with you, and maybe she could perform a little bit while you tickle the ivory.
Yeah.
Are there any additional concerns you'd like to address?
Well, I know about concerns, but if
audience?
people want to know more about me, the university did 2 documentaries on my work and life as a pianist. The first one is called A Portrait of Asaph. That's been on YouTube, and that also won Best Documentary for 2013.
Wonderful.
The second one is a documentary called The Silent Trumpet, and that covers my childhood and, leading up to being a pianist, whereas The Portrait of Asaph just covers Asaph the pianist.
Marvelous,
Fun.
marvelous.
Fun.
The Portrait of Asaph.
Yeah, Portrait of Asaph. That's the one that won Best Documentary in 2013.
Great, great. Now, are there any particular, do you have any specific objectives or goals that you would like to
Oh, I
accomplish in
tell
addition?
people all the time, when I grow up, I want to be Liberace. No joke. No, I've been playing the piano for a long time. And I really want to focus on this new Lawrence Welk show and start showcasing younger people, younger generation, and just continue to play the piano.
Amen.
That's my goal.
Well, we are honored to have you as our guest. If you will, would you give us another rendering, sir?
All right, I'll do something a little serious here. Anything in particular you'd like to hear?
Well, let you you select something for your viewing audience.
All right, let me think.
Imagine we're at a gala.
Okay, that's a good idea. Oh, I know. Sinatra's Night and Day. Let me do a little ballad version here. I'm going to stop there for a reason, because I'll do some excerpts just to give your audience, an idea for time's sake. Here's a familiar song you might recognize. I just did those excerpts on purpose,
I
and
can identify with that.
and that's Secret Agent, man. That's not something you hear on a piano every day, so that's my own personal version of that song.
Beautiful, wonderful rendering. You may also see Mr. Asaph on YouTube. if you would care to expound on that, sir.
Yeah, I have a lot of like individual videos on YouTube that's been posted
Yes.
to MCAT and other organizations, and I wasn't expecting this, but this is the flyer to the new Lawrence Welk show. Just put Music with Asaph, Lawrence Welk update, and you can see this entire pilot like we talked about earlier.
Super, super. Well, we're going to definitely run it feature this on our program. And again, we are thrilled to have Mr. Asaph Adonai here at Right Now Television. The brilliance of the light, the perspective directing the lens of the camera, the steadfast devotion to service of humanity and tenacious commitment invoking the spirit of action.
Okay.
Lights, camera, action. Here we are. These truths constitute Right Now, the Right Now TV digital satellite broadcast network team. Advocacy and intervention, referral, employment, job placement, and fair housing. And again, we are delighted, we're honored to have Mr. Asaph Adonai at our first, this is our special broadcast of the Right Now television production, which defines and explains the origin of Right Now television. In its conception with regards to the parent company, IMI. Which has made the decision to develop their executive office complex, actually, in the state of Montana. And we're excited about that. We're looking forward to creating an extensive amount of permanent employment opportunities, to invest some major intellectual as well as investments here in the state to create jobs and stimulate our economy, as well as to employ our youth, our disabled, our challenged, our seniors, and our veterans.
We take this moment in our program to pause and acknowledge our community partners, donors, and affiliates. You're watching Right Now TV. The Salvation Army, doing the most good. The Salvation Army. Missoula Aging Services. We are proud of our years. Missoula Aging Services. Good, clean fun in Missoula, Montana at Sparkle Laundry. That's Sparkle Laundry in Missoula, Montana. And registration is open for MCAT Film Camp. Have your kids learn about wildlife filmmaking, animation, and movie making at MCAT Film Camp. The Vet Center in Missoula, Montana, keeping the promise. The Vet Center in Missoula, Montana. And Missoula, Montana's very own Tuxedo Gallery. Suit up, Missoula's very own Tuxedo Gallery. We now return to our program with a performance by Asaph Adonai. You're watching Right Now TV.
Again, we are honored to have Mr. Adonai on our Asaph on our broadcast, and I would like to. We would appreciate it while we run the credits if you could lead us.
All right, you know what I'm going to do to end this here. I'm going to do something that you normally really wouldn't hear. You remember when I did The Secret Agent Man?
Yes.
Well, in case there's any Rolling Stones fans out there in your audience, I'm going to do a piece of Painted Black.
Come on with it.
Yeah, this is my Liberace classical version of the Stones' Painted Black. Little short version of that song.
Wonderful, wonderful. Wonderful. And again, we want to thank Mr. Asaph
My pleasure.
for attending on our broadcast.